Good day. It's February 24, 2025. As the U.S. immersed itself in a constitutional crisis under the Trump administration, the judiciary branch continued to uphold the law as the only shortstop to Trump and Elon Musk, who is leading the effort to shrink the federal government and freeze funding. I'm Marievelle Villanueva. Welcome to The Pulse.
And I'm Joe Buban. Welcome to this week's edition.
As President Trump and Elon Musk continue to dismantle our federal workforce, and federal judges from various states continue to rule about the unconstitutionality of the actions of the administration, the Republican Party is also beginning to see signs of cracks in breaking away from Trump, as the people in the respective districts are starting to feel the effect economically from Trump and Elon Musk's actions. One Republican senator, Josh Hawley, said to defy court orders are to devolve into lawlessness, but suggested that if Trump does not agree to a lower court's decision, Trump should appeal it vigorously. Thousands of employees from various federal agencies had been given notice that they had been terminated, both career employees and those new to the agencies. The chaos that the unemployment and economic displacement of thousands of families are becoming the reality check on many of those in Republican states who voted for Trump in the 2024 election. One of those very controversial in recent days were the firing of personnel who are charged over nuclear weapons, having been sent home by Elon Musk's Doge, only to be recalled back when the administration saw that it was a dangerous mistake not having those people at our nuclear weapon facilities. Several judges had already blocked the firings in some government agencies as a violation of law and had issued a preliminary injunction against the administration. As of Thursday last week, in line with plan to shrink government spending, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, in following Trump's plan, ordered the Defense Department to plan for a $50 billion budget cut in order for the Defense Department to reallocate the money for Trump's defense priorities, like the security on our southern border and Asian-Pacific national security matters.
One of the stories we've been following here at The Pulse is President Trump's executive order that ends the birthright of children born in the United States, denying U.S. citizenship to children born to mothers and fathers who are illegal immigrants, tourists, and those only here on a temporary legal stay, like those who are in work permits or H-1B visas, and that include many of our Filipino J-1 visa teachers. That executive order were easily blocked by already 4 federal judges who issued a nationwide injunction from having it enforced. The federal courts saying the executive order on denying birthright is unconstitutional. The Trump administration, through a U.S. Solicitor General, had appealed the case in behalf of the Trump administration relating to the injunction issued by a federal district court in Seattle, Washington, in response to the lawsuit filed by 4 state attorneys general: Washington State Attorney General Nick Brown, Arizona Attorney General Chris Mays, were joined by the Attorney General of Oregon and Illinois. Other 18 state attorneys general filed a similar lawsuit in Massachusetts, asking the federal district court to block Trump's executive order to end birthright. But on Thursday last week, the U.S. Court of Appeals in the Ninth Circuit, which is based in San Francisco, California, rejected Trump administration's request for emergency lifting of the nationwide injunction. The appeals court justices ruled that the appellant, that's the Trump administration, have not made a good showing that they are likely to succeed based on the merits of the appeal. In our previous editions here in The Pulse, we did an explainer on the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution that give U.S. citizenship to anyone born in the United States, except those parents who are diplomats. Today, we want to add that there is a U.S. Supreme Court decision on this subject and had become a case law that uphold this constitutional provision.
The case is titled United States versus Wong Kim Ark. Wang Kim-ark was born in San Francisco, California, to Chinese parents who were living in the U.S. but were not U.S. citizens. The parents returned to China in 1890. In 1895, Wang Kim-ark went on a trip to China to visit his parents. When he returned to the U.S., he was denied re-entry because he was not a U.S. citizen. He filed a lawsuit against the United States to uphold his citizenship based on the Citizenship Clause of the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, which was adopted in 1868. The case went all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. And in 1898, the Supreme Court ruled that he is, in fact, a U.S. citizen, based on the clear words and manifest intent of the 14th Amendment. In 1995, a congressional bill was put forward by a Republican to limit who will become U.S. citizen, based on immigration status of the mother or parents. The U.S. Department of Justice's Office of the Legal Counsel described it as unquestionably unconstitutional. We're going to take a commercial break. Please stay tuned.
Pure Medical Equipment provides top-notch quality medical supply equipment. Whether to rent or buy, Pure Medical Equipment and Supplies has it all.
Pure Medical Equipment is committed to serve and give back to Southern Nevada.
We deliver medical supplies and rentals to your door.
All the ladies in the house, after you've gone and left me crying, after you've gone, there's no denying.
Mga kababayan! Welcome back to Chika Chika Today. Who is this mystery woman that Manila's Principe of Pop seems to be smitten with?
Can't I just say, I like you?
What are your intentions with my mother, sir?
You must be Miguel.
Oh, Sin City sweethearts!
You break her heart. I'll break your pretty K-pop face.
I don't want him to think that I'm trying to be his dad.
Is this the real deal? Will she be the inspiration for a new love song? Or quite possibly another one of Gabriel's heartbreak hits? We will keep you posted on any updates as this story unfolds.
Made to Shine, coming soon. Presented by Philam TV Network. Written and directed by Giovanni Espiritu.
Executive produced by Sam Buban and Esmeralda Padilla Gould.
Welcome back to The Pulse. President Donald Trump falsely claims Ukraine started the war with Russia in a public statement Wednesday last week. Here's a video of that moment.
Do you have any message for Ukrainians who, after 3 years of fighting, might feel betrayed or disappointed at not having a seat at these initial talks in Saudi Arabia?
Well, I think I'm really disappointed in what's happened. I've been watching this for 3 years. It's a war that would have never happened if I was president, and I've been watching these people being killed at levels that you've rarely seen, not even close, since the Second World War. And I'm very disappointed. I hear that, they're upset about not having a seat. Well, they've had a seat for 3 years and a long time before that. This could have been settled very easily. Just a half-baked negotiator could have settled this years ago without the loss of much land, very little land, without the loss of any lives. And I think I have the power to end this war. And I think it's going very well. But today I heard, we weren't invited. Well, you've been there for 3 years. You should have ended it 3 years. You should have never started it. You could have made a deal. I could have made a deal for Ukraine that would have given them almost all of the land, everything, almost all of the land, and no people would have been killed, and no city would have been demolished, and not one dome would have been knocked down.
Multiple media outlets and Washington analysts said Trump was just echoing Vladimir Putin's talking points. Former Vice President Mike Pence criticized President Trump on X, formerly Twitter. He wrote, "Mr. President, Ukraine did not start this war." He even shared a link to a video on a news story from Fox News from February 2023 with the headline, "Russia invades Ukraine."
More on Trump's target to cut funding for the government, and this time it's Medicaid. President Trump endorsed a House of Representatives budget resolution that includes cuts on funding for Medicaid, a day after he said Medicaid will not be included in the cuts. According to Politico News, White House staff went scrambling for answers because of conflicting messages from the president. The day before, he said Medicaid will not be affected in the budget cuts to fund his new tax cuts and border security. But the following day, Wednesday last week, he endorsed Speaker Mike Johnson's budget resolution that severely cuts funding into the safety net in health care. Medicaid pays for the health care of the poor Americans and uninsured children and seniors. That same day after his endorsement, House members in the Republican Party expressed disapproval about Medicaid cuts, as thousands in their home districts will be affected. In Florida alone, an estimated 900,000 people will lose their health insurance from Medicaid. 3 House Republicans already indicated they are not on board with Speaker Mike Johnson's budget plan, which include massive plan to cut Medicaid. Congressman Francis Villado of California, Congresswoman Nicole Miliotakis of New York, and Congressman Don Bacon of Nebraska said they are not agreeable to the budget resolution that includes $80 billion in cuts to Medicaid. The reality is that more people in Republican states will suffer from loss of Medicaid than in Democratic states, according to economists. They cited that there are more low-income families in Republican states than in Democratic states. This move by Speaker Mike Johnson to align himself with Trump's plan on the budget resolution will be the source of a big fight in the House of Representatives, even within his party. The Senate Republicans are also skeptical about the massive cuts to Medicaid to finance Trump's tax cuts. Massive cuts in government spending translate to fewer government service, eliminating social safety nets for the poor. For what? Tax cuts for? You know who. But Trump Doge cuts, the Department of Government Efficiency, was authored by Russ Vought in Project 2025, who is now Trump's appointed boss of the Office of Management and Budget, is facing revolt in the Republican Party.
The Republicans that control the House of Representatives can actually only afford to lose 2 votes, as there are only 218 Republicans in the House right now, in their slimmest majority in U.S. history of Congress. At the present situation, it will only take 2 Republican House members to join the Democrats to kill the bill. At 217 votes, this is a dangerous situation for the House Republicans, that if their constituent suffers and few of their members will quit the Republican Party and will go independent and caucus with the Democrats. Republican Speaker Mike Johnson could lose his seat and turn it over to Democrat Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. Their power in the lower house of Congress is clinging by a thread, according to several Washington analysts. We will take a commercial break. Please stay tuned.
Pure Medical Equipment provides top-notch quality medical supply equipment. Whether to rent or buy, Pure Medical Equipment and Supplies has it all.
Pure Medical Equipment is committed to serve and give back to Southern Nevada.
We deliver medical supplies and rentals to your door.
All the ladies in the house, after you've gone and left me crying, after you've gone, there's no denying.
Mga kababayan! Welcome back to Chika Chika Today. Who is this mystery woman that Maynila's Principe of Pop seems to be smitten with?
Can't I just say, I like you?
What are your intentions with my mother, sir?
He must be Miguel.
Oh, Sin City sweetheart!
You break her heart, I'll break your pretty K-pop face.
I don't want him to think that I'm trying to be his dad.
Is this the real deal? Will she be the inspiration for a new love song? Or quite possibly another one of Gabrielle's heartbreak hits? We will keep you posted on any updates as this story unfolds.
Made to Shine, coming soon. Presented by Philam TV Network. Written and directed by Giovanni Espiritu.
Executive produced by Sam Buban and Esmeralda Padilla Gould.
Welcome back to The Pulse. In our world news, the rebels in the Democratic Republic of Congo pledged security after capturing Bukavu in the country's east. In a report by Al Jazeera, Rwanda-backed rebels in the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, have promised to restore security in Bukavu, the second major city in the country's east to fall to the M23 armed rebels since late last month. Residents of South Kivu provincial capital were tentatively returning to the streets on Monday, a day after M23 militants overran the city with little resistance from the fleeing Congolese army. Thousands of civilians have fled to neighboring country, Burundi, and several residents who remained cheered the M23 when columns of rebels approached Bukavu on Sunday morning. In a statement that was broadcasted on local radio on Monday, a rebel group that includes M23 stated that it will assist the Bukavu populace who had been abandoned by the army and allied militants. Our forces have been working to restore the security for the people and their property, much to the satisfaction of the entire population, according to this statement. Bukavu is the latest city to fall into the hands of the M23. Also known as the March 23 movement, which has conquered swaths of territory in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo since resuming hostilities in late 2021. The takeover of Kinshasa's commercial hub, home to 1.3 million people, has given another blow to Kinshasa's authority and deepened a confrontation that has sparked worries of a regional war. The M23 launched their advance in South Kivu after seizing control of Goma, the capital of neighboring North Kivu province, which borders Rwanda, last month. According to the UN, fighting between the M23 and the Congolese army killed hundreds of people. Erasto Bahati Musanga, the rebel-appointed governor of North Kivu, has stated the Bukavu and Goma ports will reopen on Tuesday. Navigation on Lake Kivu, one of Africa's largest lakes, has been prohibited since late January due to the rebel onslaught on Goma. Although a bloodbath was avoided in Bukavu, the city's streets remained filled with trash left by inhabitants who took advantage of the chaos to plunder humanitarian warehouses, shops, and the local brewery. The UN's World Food Program, WFP, on Monday said robbers took 7,000 tons of emergency food supplies during the weekend. The agency decried the attack on its Bukavu warehouses in a post on X, adding the food supplies were meant to provide vital support to the most vulnerable families who now face a growing humanitarian crisis. WFP also encouraged all conflict parties to respect their obligations under international humanitarian law, including the protection of civilians and humanitarian workers.
News from South America. The ELN rebels conduct a 3-day armed strike in Colombia's northwest as rural violence increases, according to an Associated Press report. Businesses closed and public transportation came to a halt Tuesday in Colombia's Choco region as rebels from the National Liberation Army, or ELN, initiated a 3-day armed strike that confined citizens to their homes and limits business activity. The decision comes as violence escalates in numerous rural areas of Colombia, notably the Choco region in the west, where 1,600 people have been displaced from their homes in the last 2 weeks. This is according to Colombia's Human Rights Ombudsman's office. In a statement released over the weekend, the ELN stated that it has decided to launch an armed strike, citing claimed alliances between the state and the military and mercenaries collaborating with right-wing paramilitary groups who they claim are attacking rebels and community leaders. Armed strikes frequently result in school closures, and civilians who oppose rebel instructions are threatened with execution. The Choco Department, that's the equivalent to province in Philippine setting, is one of Colombia's poorest and least densely populated provinces. It has few highways connecting to the rest of the country, but it is crisscrossed by dozens of rivers, which serve as the primary mode of transit. A 2016 peace pact between the Colombian government and the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia resulted in the demobilization of 13,000 fighters, including hundreds of rebels in the Choco area. However, regions previously controlled by the FARC have now been taken by the ELN in Choco and other parts of Colombia. The ELN, which was founded in the 1960s, now has an estimated 6,000 fighters in Colombia and Venezuela, and has been rising since the FARC demobilized. Colombian President Gustavo Petro had canceled peace talks with the ELN on January, following the estimated 80 deaths in insurgent attacks in the northern Catatumbo region. Colombia's military is now fighting the ELN in Catatumbo and Choco, where 1,500 troops were sent on Monday. As the military combats the ELN, the Gulf Clan, a drug trafficking organization, is making inroads in Choco, where it is fighting the rebels for territory. The situation is grave, but it is not incurable, Human Rights Ombudswoman Iris Marin Ortiz stated in a video posted on X on Sunday. The armed groups are strong, but our institutions and our democracy must be stronger and more robust. On Monday, the U.S. Embassy in Bogota issued a security alert advising American people in the Choco region to evacuate as soon as possible. While not a significant tourist attraction, Choco has a couple of coastal communities known for whale viewing, surfing, and stunning black sands beaches.
Russia-linked media efforts seeks to undermine German support for Ukraine. Reuters News reported that images of children reportedly murdered in the Russia-Ukraine war are displayed on banners in German city squares. The monochromatic photo display is part of a larger message campaign dubbed Children of War, which calls on the continent's leaders to put an end to the conflict. The organizers of the display have publicly stated that they are unaffiliated with any government and are motivated by a wish to relieve the suffering of innocent young people. The exhibit is generally titled Alley of Angels. However, Reuters discovered that a network of people with ties to the Russian state helped to organize, promote, and support the effort, according to people familiar with portions of the network and a study of social media accounts, corporate filings, and government records. According to papers given to Reuters by two people from a European intelligence agency, the goal was to enter protest movements in the European Union and erode support for nations that supply weaponry to Ukraine, in order for it to defend itself against Russia. The documents, they claim, are intercepted progress updates from certain network members in Germany to their handler in Russia. The story includes images of the Alley of Angels exhibit during German political protest, as well as updates on the campaign behind it. Details of the Moscow-linked propaganda effort emerged as German intelligence officials allege a rise in Russian-sponsored espionage and sabotage and form a task group to counter foreign state attempts to influence a national election this month. Germany is Ukraine's second largest weapons supplier, following the United States. The BFV, Germany's domestic intelligence service, told Reuters that given Russia's war in Ukraine, Moscow has a great and obvious interest in influencing the election results in order to assert its own strategic interest. The BFV declined to comment on Reuters' findings regarding the network's activities. Germany is not alone. In Europe, officials have accused Moscow of using information operations to sow conflict and affect public opinion in favor of its war with Ukraine. Last month, Warsaw announced that it had discovered a Russian group aimed at influencing Poland's next presidential election through disinformation and instability. The Russian embassy in Warsaw stated at the time that it had no information on the subject. We'll leave it at that, as we are at the end of our show. I'm Marievelle Villanueva. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.
And I'm Joe Buban. God bless your week.